The people with an axe to grind in 2020, it can be anyone, players, coaches, GMs, owners, anybody, anyway, anyhow. Chris, give me the trivia question, and if I get it right, I get the first pick.
Okay, here we go. All right. Oops, wait, I'm lost here. I lost my spot here. Hold on one second. Here we go. I
That's fine.
got
We
lost
got
on
nowhere
my
else
text.
to go.
Okay, here we go. Sorry. Here we go. Cam Newton, he's the first number one overall pick to be cut by the team that drafted him since whom? Okay, I repeat. Who was the last number one pick to be cut by the team that drafted them?
Wow. Cut by the team that drafted them. I can't think of anybody other than Jamarcus Russell.
Good job, big guy.
Am I right or am I wrong?
You are right.
Yes. I thought it was a trick. I thought it was a trick question.
No,
I thought
good
there was
job,
somebody
man. Way
between 2011 and now. All right, Jamarcus Russell, see you later. And first one for me, look, it's easy to say Cam Newton, but Cam Newton is going to make it clear to us publicly that he's got an axe to grind. A guy who is not, I'm not taking Cam Newton. Take it off the thing. I'm taking Tom Brady as my pick because he's never going to say it. He's never going to acknowledge it. But that fire is going to burn inside of him because at the end of the day, he's going to convince himself the Patriots didn't want him. And the Patriots are going to try to sell the idea that Tom wanted to leave. But at the bottom of it all, he believed that Bill didn't want him. And I think he is going to be motivated and he's going to be determined and he's going to do everything in his power to show that they screwed up by letting him walk away.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, yes, it's the way any NFL competitor kind of is wired in their brain. You're going to fool yourself to being, oh, I feel disrespected, and he has a right to feel that way. I mean, come on, he's one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest, certainly the most decorated, and I'm sure he is going to feel a little bit cheated by the New England Patriots to a degree. But I'm with you. He's going to be motivated this year to show everybody, you know, it wasn't Belichick. I'm still really good. Screw you. And I got 2 good years left in me. So I'm with you. Not a bad pick there. I mean, I got to go with Cam Newton. I think that's just the obvious one. You know, it is. I mean, Cam Newton has about as much of a right to be pissed off as anybody in football right now. You know, one, hey, he's getting disrespected as a professional, right? Just because of, you know, injury history and all that. Who's going to sign him? We don't know. Carolina didn't want him. But, I mean, I think you got like an extra axe to grind when, you know, the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion, kind of did him dirty and let him go at the, you know, at the midnight hour to basically say, oh, yeah, go try to find a trade or find somebody else where all the seats have already been filled. So that, to me, is going to motivate Cam Newton, let alone I think he was motivated already because he's been injured the last 2 years and hasn't been able to show, you know, what kind of player he really is capable of being.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think he's going to be great wherever he lands, and it's amazing to me that there has not, and I understand that the COVID-19 situation makes it impossible to give the guy a physical, but the fact we've heard nothing, the fact that there's no sense of anybody that's going to make a move on him when they have a chance to do it, surely there are teams that are looking at Cam Newton, looking at the other options, and realizing, holy crap, Cam Newton's our guy, and we talked about this earlier, the message from Colin Cowherd yesterday, this take that Cam Newton and Tyrod Taylor are basically the same guy, I think that's coming straight from the Chargers to Colin Cowherd, and it tells me the Chargers have decided not to make a move for Cam Newton and to leave it with Tyrod Taylor, unless they are trying to leverage Cam Newton to reduce his financial expectations. But that's not Cowherd's idea. That was planted to him, I believe, by the Chargers, and it's very telling as to where the Chargers are. And if the Chargers aren't in on Cam Newton, I don't know who's going to be, but I think plenty of teams should be. All right, next one for me. Now, there's a difference between having an axe to grind and actually being able to swing the axe once you've ground the axe, and that's Derek Carr, because I think he's destined to no longer be the Raiders quarterback by next year. It looks like he's still going to get one more chance this year, but after all the Tom Brady talk, that for a while was kind of real, and bringing in Marcus Mariota to potentially be the Ryan Tannehill to Mariota, that Mariota could be this year to Derek Carr, and be the guy that the Raiders can turn to if Carr would need to be benched. And now he's going to have to sweat out whether or not the Raiders are going to draft somebody. They're reportedly talking to Justin Herbert. So, Carr, a little thin-skinned anyway, but I think he's got multiple reasons to be upset and to get himself focused and to try to turn it into a positive. And I assume this is the psychology of John Gruden, Chris. He wants to do that. He wants to make him mad. He wants to push his buttons, and he hopes that that results in a higher level of performance from Derek Carr this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, one, he wants competition at the position. He does. I don't think he cares who you are. Two, yes, he wants you to feel that, hey, there's a hot poker really close to my butt here, and I got to keep going and pushing forward, or I'm going to have a big red mark on my butt. All right. So, yes, he is that way, let alone, if you do get hurt or aren't playing well, he wants to have options to, as I always used to tell you, he looks at his offense as a real awesome red Ferrari, and he doesn't want to give the keys to that red Ferrari to anybody. So, yes, if the starter gets hurt, he wants to have somebody he can trust as being the backup too. And yeah, Derek Carr is going to have to sweat it out, because if Gruden does like Justin Herbert, I wouldn't put it past him to draft a guy like that. I certainly wouldn't. All right, man, there's a lot of options to pick here. I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon of the Denver Broncos. All right, Melvin Gordon, I look at him and just go, man, yes, does he have an axe to grind? One, he's got probably a little bit of an axe to grind with himself. He's probably kicking himself a little bit going, man, I left money on the table with the Los Angeles Chargers. And look, I signed for less the next year. So he's probably pissed off about that. He's going to want to show the world that he is worth big-time running back money. He stayed in the division, so he's going to get to see the Chargers twice a year. And I think he's going to want to show them and shove it up where the sun don't shine to them to say, hey, look, I'm the bell cow running back for, the Denver Broncos here and having a great year, and you guys should have signed me back. So I look at all those factors and look at Melvin Gordon as a guy to be extra motivated, let alone in a chance to succeed. Pat Shurmur likes to run the football. I like his run game design. And, I think Mike Munchak's one of the best offensive line coaches in all of football. And Fangio's going to want to run the ball. So I look for Melvin Gordon to have a big year and to shut up a lot of the haters of the world.
I was so hoping that you were going to say that Melvin Gordon is going to self-grind himself. I thought that was coming. But you're right. He's his own worst enemy here. He admitted in his introductory conference call with the Broncos that he probably shouldn't have held out into the regular season. He skipped 4 games. He got nothing out of it. I remember when we interviewed him at the Super Bowl, one of his handlers was giving me a little attitude after it. Oh, did you tell him what a mistake his holdout was? I said, no, he knows. He knows.
He's very real with
knows.
himself. Yeah, that's what I like about the guy. I've been around Melvin a few times. He's very honest, open. He's in reality. And yeah, he's cool that way. He really is. I root for him. He's one of those humans you meet in football where you just go, that's a good guy. I see the talent. He's built like a Greek god. He's had some injury issues. He went for it. Yeah, he's worried. He plays running back. He gets killed for a living. I mean, he gets crushed. So he wanted to maximize what he could do. I'm not going to be mad at him for that. But at the same time, it cost him a few dollars.
Next one for me is another running back who played in the same city as Melvin Gordon, and that's Todd Gurley. And look, I mean, Todd Gurley, on one hand, you can look at it and say he really doesn't have an axe to grind, because this is the reality of having a knee injury from college that didn't dramatically impact his draft stock. He was still the 10th overall pick in 2015. And after a few years of playing at a high level and being the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year in 2017, the knee just couldn't hold up anymore. And he's done everything he can, and he's fought, and he's worked, and it just got to the point where his contract no longer is justifiable based upon his current health. But here's where he has an axe to grind, and this struck me as very unusual, Chris, when he admitted to Chris Long last week on Long's podcast that Gurley didn't see his release by the Rams coming. My first thought was, he's lying to us. Surely he saw it coming. Peter King and I talked about this on Friday, and I assume you weren't up and watching the show then.
I saw some of it. Yeah.
Peter made a great point. The point is that with a guy like Sean McVay as your coach, maybe you don't see it coming, because maybe Sean McVay's got that Pete Carroll, rah, everything is great, everything is positive, you're my guy, until you're no longer his guy. And then it does hit you like a bag full of bricks upside the head when he finally tells you you're gone. And if that's how it went down, if it's a little at John Gruden, right? You're my guy until you're not my guy anymore. And who was one of his mentors? It was John Gruden. And I think that Gurley may come out of this experience pissed off about being led to believe he was still part of the Rams' plans, being led to believe he's still Sean McVay's guy, being led to believe that they're still going to build an offense around him, and then all of a sudden he gets wadded up into a ball and thrown in the trash. That's going to give him an axe to grind with the Falcons in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, agreed on all points. Now, he can take some solace in the fact that, hey, he was paid very handsomely, and they took a chance on him. They took a chance on him not only in the draft, right, but also by giving him the contract extension. He was a guy that came out in the draft with a torn ACL, and they drafted him in the top 10. So, I think you got to take that into account too. And to your point about Sean McVay, I think that's very real. I think a little bit like McVay and Gruden, yeah, there's the good cop, bad cop aspect between the GM and the head coach. The head coach needs to stay in favor with the players. And, Sean McVay. I know Sean McVay. He's one of those guys. He's not a fake to me. I think he really loves his players. I'm sure he was like, man, can't we keep Todd Gurley to the last very minute? He was probably hoping that could work out, which is, yes, probably blindsided Todd Gurley to a degree. I'm sure they've talked since then, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Todd Gurley's going to be motivated and pissed off and want to show everybody that he's still one of the better running backs in football. All right. Well, go ahead.
The deal's still not official in Atlanta. They could try to take him back the way they took back Michael Brockers. So who knows? Maybe that story's not over yet.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I think there could be a few stories like that in the NFL. All right, I'm going to stay with the Rams, and one that I bet you wasn't on your radar, but should be.
Yes,
Jalen Ramsey. You had him on there?
No, it wasn't. No, I had Jared Goff.
Oh, Jalen Ramsey, to me, he got an axe to grind. First off, Jalen Ramsey's, been forget arguably. He's been one of the three best corners in football the last 3 years in the NFL. Whether you want to say he was 1, 2, or 3, whatever, I don't care. All I know is he's one of the best cover corners and best corners in all of football. And he's sitting there and he's done it the right way. He's been a team guy. He hasn't been disgruntled, but still no long-term contract offer for Jalen Ramsey, the best at his position in the whole sport. He's got to be looking at the free agency this year going, what? But Byron Jones is making $16.5 million a year. He's probably looking at Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and no disrespect to any of those guys. I think they're phenomenal players, but Jalen Ramsey's looking at them going, I've been better, I am better, and why can't I get a long-term contract and somebody pay me already? So I look at Jalen Ramsey as one of those guys that's going to be pissed off. He's pissed off anyways when he's walking on the field, but he'll have an extra edge to him to prove to everybody that he deserves to be the highest paid cornerback in football. And I think, that happens, whether it happens during the season or after the season, it's going to happen.
He's making $13.7 million this year in his fifth-year option because he was a top 10 pick.
Right.
But look, he's just like we talked about Laramie Tunsil earlier on the TV side.
Yeah.
Having leverage over the Texans because of what they gave up to get him. Ramsey's got leverage over the Rams. They gave up 2 1s and a 4 to get Jalen Ramsey. And I remember Deion Sanders, who's connected to Ramsey because they're both Florida State guys. Deion Sanders, in the immediate aftermath of that trade, saying Ramsey may not be with the Rams for all that long. Now, look, they can franchise tag him for a couple of years before it becomes too expensive to keep him. But the question is, do you want a guy who doesn't want to be there? If he decides after this year or during this year, I want out. See, that's the risk you take when you trade for a guy who was willing to draw that line in the sand with a team and say, I want out. You may be that next team where he plays that I want out card. And what are you going to do? You ain't going to get 2 1s and a 4 for him this time. That's for damn sure. So, look, the Rams, I'll tell you what, the Rams have been very aggressive. But man,
there's been some questionable moves.
They've made some mistakes. The Jared Goff contract, the Ramsey trade without a contract, the Todd Gurley contract, and that team could be starting to go in the other direction. All right, this is the last time I have to deal with the radio clock forcing me to take a break before I'd like to. We have to take a break. We'll finish this Tuesday edition of PFT Live right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.